Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome to Culture Night,
where each week we drink fancy wine and watch movies that are in some way culturally significant. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sarah, and we are back for another holiday episode. We promise that a true season will come back eventually, but
right now things are crazy.
Yeah.
Hard enough to fit these holiday episodes in as it is, that hopefully start of next year we should have a lot more consistent time to sit down and pump out some actual cohesive seasons, because I am excited for SciFi. As we've been saying for a long time, but we'll get there.
And I also just miss like once a week sitting down with you and watching a movie. Yes, we live in the same home and do almost everything together, but to have this like, let's take a deep breath and sit down and have a glass of wine and watch a movie together has not felt possible lately, but I'm looking forward to that in 2024.
Yes. Holidays and kids is very, very crazy. Not a lot of free time to do this kind of stuff.
So fun, but crazy.
So we don't think we have any podcast business this week. So why don't we hop into what we are drinking this week?
This week we are drinking the Tobin James 2018 Silver Reserve Cab Sav, back with another Tobin James. And I don't know if this was from our most recent box or one from the reserves. I think it was recent.
Yeah, I don't think it was our newest one though.
I really can't remember what was in the new one.
But it is a Cab Sav, which we generally have as our after show wine that I'm excited. I don't think we've had a Tobin James Cab Sav on this show, have we?
I think we have. I think we've had one.
Okay.
It smells incredible. In case you missed my facial expression there, it has an incredible nose.
All right, let's give it a taste.
Like the smell of this is what I look for in a good wine.
Not getting too much on it. Getting like just some like
when it
berry.
As gross as this is, when it just like sat in my mouth, I didn't have any flavor, but the aftertaste is where I got the. It tastes like grape jelly.
I was gonna say, is it bad if I say it tastes like grape Pop-Tart?
No, because
like,
I see it
in a good way.
I mean, I say grape jelly, but it's like craft grape jelly, like not craft like Kraft mac and cheese, but like artisanal, like fancy.
Some artisanal jelly.
Yeah.
A jam, if you will. And nothing too much going on with it, but it does taste very pleasant.
I do like it. It's very good.
So we will drink that as the movie goes on. But now let's move into what we are watching tonight.
Tonight we are watching Holiday Inn from 1942. Back to the oldies.
Back before there were even ratings.
Yes, this is another unrated pre-MPAA ratings movie. I imagine it would probably be PG. I know, literally, spoiler alert, I don't know anything about it, but I imagine everything of that era to me seems like it was PG.
Yeah, we'll get into that in just a second. But for right now, let's hop into our time machine back to 1942. And but despite the movies and songs that are coming out, keep in mind that like World War II is actively raging,
right? Which
is just wild to think about.
Which I don't know that I'd fully thought about, because I'm like a big White Christmas girl, but that was 10 years after World War II ended. That I didn't fully put into my thought process that this was active World War II.
So just to set some context.
That's a really good setting the scene fact right there.
The top 3 movies released that year were Bambi, Mrs. Miniver, and Yankee Doodle Dandy.
I didn't include the box office numbers, but Bambi was like 33 million and Mrs. Miniver was like 7 million. So like Bambi was like
crushed it.
The movie. Everything else.
Everyone was rushing to see that year. Yeah. And the top 3 songs released that year were White Christmas by Bing Crosby. Surprise,
Spoiler
surprise. I've Got a Gal in Kalamazoo by Glenn Miller and his orchestra, and Moonlight Cocktail,
which is also by Glenn Miller and his orchestra.
I was gonna say by nobody in particular.
I didn't include it because I didn't want to type it out twice.
Yes.
But also, so I quickly added these into our outline before we started, but I noticed when I was looking at the top movies for this year, according to the website that I was looking at, so this is 1942, Gone with the Wind was still number 9 on that list, and it came out in 1939. So it was 3 years beforehand, but it was still the 9th most popular movie. It gives you some context of how many movies were coming out, especially because with the war, I'm sure they weren't pumping them out like they were before.
Also, fun fact, Gone with the Wind is actually like 4 years long of a movie. So people were probably still just like getting
they were
through
still finishing watching for the first time. I have seen Gone with the Wind, and it was an experience. I also think I was in like 5th grade. It was it took up a big part of my
Started
life.
it then, finished it last week.
Yeah. In 5th grade, watching Gone with the Wind was like a big portion of my life when I watched it that year.
Yeah. So back to Holiday Inn. Have you seen it before?
As I've said, I have not seen it before.
I have not either. And the only thing I know about it is that Bing Crosby is in it. And he sings White Christmas before, and he sings this well before the actual movie White Christmas.
Yes, this is also all I know about it. I did know that the song White Christmas did not originate in White Christmas, the movie, which I love and obsessed with. And I knew that it was originated in this. I actually don't really know how many other Bing Crosby movies I've seen. So I'm interested to see, especially this is many years before White Christmas.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll look a bit younger or anything like that.
I mean, I always thought he seemed older in White Christmas, given that it was like, two single, kind of like pop stars. I think he was in his mid 40s.
I think he was significantly older than like Rosemary Clooney. And,
yeah, there's a big age difference. I know a lot about White Christmas, as we talked about with our Danny Kaye episodes. But I'm excited to see this one because, I mean, I'm not a huge old time movie person, but I do love White Christmas. It's very nostalgic to me, and to know that this is the origin of that song, and I'm just because I know so much about Bing Crosby at the time of the movie White Christmas, I'm excited to see what this movie looks like.
I'm just excited because I feel like I've gotten kind of burnt out with a lot of seeing the same Christmas movies over and over again. That to see one that's like a classic and not like a Netflix, just pumped out new movie, one that I haven't seen before, but still has like some significance with the White Christmas song in there. I am excited to see this one. I'm
excited, but I'm also a little nervous because I feel like if it was really great, wouldn't it be like a big like White Christmas type thing? So like I'm a little hesitant going into it. We'll see if that stands up. I mean, I'm excited because I have not seen it, but I don't know. Like I feel like it would be a bigger It's a Wonderful Life, White Christmas kind of hype.
We'll find out. Yes,
we will find out. So we'll catch you on the other side of Holiday Inn. Cheers. Well, ready as can be. Cheers. Ooh.
Holiday Inn.
Ooh.
Yeah. That was a lot.
Yeah.
Very unexpected.
Yes. I don't
So
even know. Let's just jump into the wine scale.
The wine scale is a 0 to 10 scale. However, it is heavily weighted given that the wines that we drink are all very good wines. So a low score does not necessarily mean that it is a bad wine. This is a very subjective scale. That being said, I'm going to rate this one a 5.2.
Ooh, 5.7 for me.
5.7.
Close. I just came up with that as I took the sip while you were giving the wine scale, and I was like, I might be really off base here. I don't know. And so I was relieved when we were close.
Honestly, it was just like the number that came to me. There wasn't really much going on with complexity or any notes that I was really getting. It was pleasant enough to drink, but nothing to really write home about.
It was better than the whatever we had the last time.
I couldn't tell you.
Whatever we had is always one that we're not super excited about.
Okay.
And this one was I enjoyed. It was good. And like, especially like we drink so much Cab Sav. It's such a common red wine to drink that this is much, much better than any like run of the mill.
Not to throw shade at the black box that we do very much love, but this is better than
this is much more complex than black box or just like any like grocery store bottom mid to bottom shelf.
So the 2018 Tobin James Silver Reserve Cab Sav, 5.2, 5.7, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Delicious. Nothing crazy out of the ordinary, but very, very delicious.
Yes.
For what it is.
And now we'll move on to the movie rating, which is even more kind of subjective and random and don't really know. There's various criteria that I kind of have, but also given that this was more of a musical, it's really hard to kind of really pinpoint a number on it. I'll let you go first.
I was so afraid you were going to say that.
I went first for wine. So.
I know you did. The wine is always easier though. I will give it a 3.8.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.7.
I was going to push it up into the 4s. So one of my notes is Hallmark movie. I feel like Hallmark could take the idea of a Holiday Inn, a holiday only inn, and just it really screamed Hallmark to me.
I can really picture it, like especially the cheap like Netflix that's now kind of taking that place too.
I mean, being like Connecticut, small town, cozy inn, like it's so the setting of a Hallmark movie that once that got in my head, that was all I could think about. And the 1942 rendition of Holiday Inn was super cringy and lost a lot of points for its cringiness that we will get into momentarily. And I don't know, the story was kind of boring.
Yeah, the points that I gave it were entirely for the musical like heritage, basically. The fact that it gave us White Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Happy Holidays is from this, originated from this. Okay.
Technically, the song is called Happy Holiday, apparently, but everyone calls it Happy Holidays.
It's not called Happy Honda Days.
Which is very devastating to me.
I don't know. I had to clarify that point.
I don't know if you and your family celebrate Happy Honda Days as much as we do. But
Lexus December to remember and Happy Honda Days are like big holidays in our home.
We like to make every December a December to remember.
Yes, we really love to express each other with luxury vehicles.
As every like young couple does. We like to surprise each other with a gigantic financial purchase.
This movie left a lot to be desired. I kind of get it. If it had been different, I could see it being a big like cult classic. Like,
so my first note is that this was based on an idea by Irving Berlin. And I get that because it seems like it's based on an idea and not like a story.
Yes.
It was like someone had an idea and they're like, we're just going to keep filming until it comes together.
Yeah. I mean, it felt like they spent a lot of time and money on the transition shots, like the calendars and the animations. I think even one of my notes was like, loved the animation on the opening credits with the calendar. Like they really like leaned into those. And then I kept being like, but wait, what happened in that last time between this holiday and the next holiday?
Yeah, I kind of see why the producers were like, hey, with this really great song with White Christmas, it was not a great movie. Let's go ahead and just kind of recapitalize on that.
Scrap it and let's do it again.
See what we can do that's better, milk that cash cow of a song and then give us a all around generally better movie than what this was.
Have we decided whether or not the Holiday Inn hotel chain sprang from this movie?
No, I'm dying to research that though.
Me too. That's all I could think about the whole time.
I really need to at least know the relationship, like which came first. Was it based on that? Why? How?
Yeah. There's a story there. I feel like there has.
I've stayed at a Holiday Inn before, and it's not like what this was.
Right. Imagine if any Holiday Inn experience that we've shared together had been like this.
Been anything like this, especially the cringier parts.
Oh, God.
So I guess the movie description.
Yes.
I will go first with my movie description. A singer or performer, singer, dancer, wants to retire and move out to the countryside, creates a Holiday Inn where he's only operates on holidays in order to have the rest of the year off, as opposed to show business where generally you're just always working. And that turns into a complex love triangle that turns into a love square at the end. And it's just kind of complicated. There's a bunch of song and dance numbers based around holidays.
Yes. I was wondering where you were going to take that because I wouldn't even know where to begin. But
yeah,
good on you. It's a complicated story to tell. All right. The description, according to our TV, is lovely Linda Mason has crooner Jim Hardy head over heels, but suave stepper. Who wrote this?
Someone was busting out the source for this one.
Right. Suave stepper Ted Hanover wants her for his new dance partner after fickle Lila Dixon gives him the brush.
Well, they call me fickle Lila Dixon.
Why is my job always significantly harder than yours?
I gotta come up with this stuff out of nowhere. You just have to read this.
I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting any of this. Oh no, I'm not even done yet. So fickle Lila Dixon gives him the brush.
Ooh.
Jim's supper club, Holiday Inn, is the setting for the chase by
Supper
Hanover
club.
and his manager.
Supper club. That's the supper club.
The supper club. Do you want to read it?
Like, could you sound any more 1940s if you tried by calling something a supper club?
Do I need to read the whole thing again? Because I just couldn't stop laughing.
Let's do a quick recap of it.
Okay. Okay. Lovely Linda Mason has crooner Jim Hardy head over heels. It's just too funny. Okay, no, I got it this time.
I'm Pickle Dixon. What's your name? Like, what is this? Everyone has an adjective before their name.
Right? That's the hardest part. Okay. Lovely Linda Mason has crooner Jim Hardy head over heels, but suave stepper Ted Hanover wants her for his new dance partner after fickle Lila Dixon gives him the brush. Jim's supper club, Holiday Inn, is the setting for the chase by Hanover and his manager.
It sounds like the description, like the opening to a murder mystery. Figure out the whodunit.
It does. Oh man, like it's like the episode of The Office where they play whatever the game is in Savannah,
and murder.
Yeah, and Voodoo Mama Juju. Like everybody has their own descriptors. Oh,
someone
man.
had a real time writing that description.
I saw Lovely Linda Mason when I took the picture because I can't really see our TV from where our new setup is, and I was like, "Don't read the rest of it. You don't need to know." But I kind of wish I had. That was something. So, anyways, that was the description of the movie Holiday Inn. Let's get into our next question, which is: was the movie what you expected?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. I agree. It was.
I imagined that they were really leaning into the holiday part of Holiday Inn, that it would have a couple of holidays in there.
I expected it to be all Christmas, like the Christmas holiday. The other holidays were a surprise to me.
The fact that it started out, like the very beginning, they turned the calendar to Christmas Eve. I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those movies that takes place in like a 24-hour period.
Me too. I was like, we're jumping right in.
Instead, it was basically like a 365. There was a lot of holidays that were thrown in there. I figured there would actually be an inn, and that it would actually be based around at least a holiday.
Yeah.
If not more. But going into the next question of how well did it age? Not great.
It aged pretty poorly.
So if anyone who's not seen it, there is some pretty obvious blackface scenes that did not age well.
And I'm just not sure how we didn't know that was in there.
Yeah. There's now a reason why this isn't like a popular Christmas.
I understand why White Christmas is more popular than this. Ooh.
So saying it didn't age well, it means that it didn't age well as of like the 1980s. That even then they started not broadcasting a lot of those scenes because they were very, very cringy. Very racist.
We both audibly gasped.
Yeah, and unnecessarily. Like they were trying to disguise the
Linda
girl,
Mason.
Linda.
Lovely Linda Mason.
Right, lovely Linda Mason.
Let's use our adjectives here.
Her full name. And rather than like doing any other thing, they decided to all dress up in blackface. They could have like just put her in a wig, done her hair differently, something else.
Put her in a hat.
Dressed up as Abe Lincoln, put up like a fake beard on her. But they went for the full blackface and then tried to do it again for the next number too, which luckily was shot down in the movie. But that part very much did not age well.
It was very uncomfortable to watch, and they're just throwing it around like it's no big deal, and it did not sit well with either one of us.
I feel like when the 80s says that this was like too uncomfortable, too bad, too wrong, the 80s, which also gave a Song of the South, like, you know, this was bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not that this movie was trending great before that scene. I mean, it was fine, but then
we kind of watched it for like 10 plus minutes of the movie being like,
do we keep going?
Yeah. For our audio listeners, I was cringing very bad. So could the movie be made today? I think, as you said, for sure.
I want Hallmark, in fact, to take the idea of an inn that is only open on holidays. I would be interested to know which holidays the 2020s Holiday Inn would choose, because I don't know that Lincoln and Washington's birthday would be holidays we would
nowadays
choose.
Nowadays, holidays for everything. It'd be like Pirate Day for like...
You'd definitely be working 365 in the 2020s.
You could really pick and choose your actual holidays.
Bank holidays. The Bank Holiday Inn.
I'm trying to like think of who I would want to play in this, and for some reason, I don't even care who he plays. I think Miles Teller would have to be in this, though.
Sweet. Oh no, he would definitely be Bing Crosby. He would own the inn. He's such a innkeeper.
I can also see him kind of being that agent guy, the manager person that was trying to like.
He can be kind of sneaky, but I really much prefer him as the Bing Crosby type.
No, I see Zac Efron as the Bing Crosby.
I mean, if we're gonna bring Zac Efron into this, I mean, go
we've
for
got
it.
Miles Teller as the.
So do we need to bring Michael B. Jordan in
the agent? Ooh.
as that awkward moment crew?
Yes, bring it all together. I love I love Michael B. Jordan as the Fred Astaire, like.
Oh, he's so suave.
Yeah, guy trying to Mr. Studio Girl. Yeah.
Yes.
For sure. Okay. So, anyways, Netflix, Hallmark.
Dear at Hallmark
Yes.
at Netflix, we have a movie idea and casting for done.
Yeah. And you can completely nix the bad scenes from this.
Yeah.
Make it better.
Yeah, and I
different.
mean, it doesn't need to necessarily be the same story.
Don't do it shot for shot.
Just general, like, we're opening a Holiday Inn. We're getting rid of, I mean, typical Hallmark movie. We're getting out of the big city. We're opening our small town holiday only inn, and then go from there.
Doing small town Connecticut. Yeah. Love it.
Oh man, I know I'm really excited about the mental idea of this. I really hate this.
I can't wait for AI to be able to make the movies that we come up with.
Right.
Or at least the
because we
remakes.
have some great ideas.
Just need some funding, studios, actors, all that sort of stuff. But anyways, that could come later. Did they say the title? Did they say the title of the movie in the movie?
Yes, it's the name of the
Yeah.
Inn.
Several times. Holiday Inn.
Yes. Does it fit the movie? Yes. I do like the premise of that. Like, I thought that was super cool. And then it just kept getting worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I wish it was based on a story, not an idea. Like it very much seemed like it was a little bit nebulous and they kind of filled in the wrong blanks that it could have been made a bit better.
100%.
Were there any actors that went on to do bigger things?
I mean, I think Bing Crosby and Fred Astaire were pretty well established at the time. I don't particularly know of any of the other people that went on, if they went on to do anything else.
Yeah, I think this was probably like a fairly large, like not star-studded, but like a fairly well-known cast of all the people in it at the time. That I don't necessarily know any of them went on to do bigger things, unless you consider like White Christmas and some other like legacy pieces bigger. But I think all the movies they did at the time were fairly big.
Yeah. What do you think the impact of this movie has on pop culture?
The
song White Christmas.
Yeah, it gave us White Christmas eventually.
Yes.
And Happy Holidays.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, like,
and it gave us Happy Honda Days indirectly.
yes. Thank you. The company Honda would like to personally thank Holiday in the movie for giving them their song.
And I thank them as well.
I do think there's a reason that this is not the pop culture Christmas movie that we've come to know.
I mean, it focuses on more holidays, not the holiday. It definitely starts and revolves a lot around Christmas and has White Christmas fairly well, like prominently displayed in the movie, but it doesn't necessarily feel like a Christmas movie as much as
It spends a lot more time on especially the February holidays, which who thinks of holidays in February? Holidays in February? Nobody.
A lot of birthdays, a lot of other stuff. Yeah.
We'll get there. And do you feel cultured after watching this?
I very much do.
Yes. Because, I mean, I've known for so long that the White Christmas came from this movie. Did I ever think I'd watch it? Probably not. I don't know why. I didn't think that would be something I'd watch.
And I also don't know if I'd seen like a Fred Astaire movie before.
I have never seen Fred Astaire's face until tonight.
Yeah. Definitely heard of his name.
Yes.
And like knew
100%.
that he was a thing, but was able to appreciate seeing that. He seemed like kind of a creep, but that might have been who he was playing in this. But yeah, now I can say I've seen him.
Yes.
And he likes to dance and tap a lot.
Yeah. Andrew was practicing his tap skills during our popcorn break, and it was very impressive.
Those were my taps. That was not the popcorn. Those were my taps.
Yes, he was tapping. He was tapping to the beat of the
I
popcorn.
had my tap socks on.
Oh man! All right, would you like to go first for your notes?
Sure. So my first note being that this was based on an idea by Irving Berlin, as we discussed. My second note was just from the opening shot, like we're watching a remastered 1080p version of this movie, and I was just blown away by we have such great footage of something that happened in 1942. Like a lot of this filming, or half of it at least, happened before Pearl Harbor, which I actually found funny because I remember when I first watched the movie Pearl Harbor, there's a guy running around videotaping things, and my first thought was did they even have video cameras back then? Because video cameras seem gigantic and bulky and barely technologically feasible when my parents were filming our childhood or my childhood, that the fact that people have like cameras good enough to capture this and have it be able to be preserved, restored, remastered, whatnot, to this day still is very like mind blowing.
Yeah, it really does a number on my brain to watch this and be like, these people existed and like what Bing Crosby was born in 1903. Like he was born in like the 1900s, like the not just the century, like 1900.
1900 something.
Yeah, and it's very hard in all of these older movies we've watched. It's really hard for my brain to like process, and that we can see them and we can actually see the quality of the video. Even like some of our home movies are worse quality than this, and it's wild.
Like I don't have like footage of this. Obviously, it must have been very impractical to have consumers have a lot of this technology to film everyday things. But like the footage I have of like my parents and grandparents, like really low quality pictures and like Polaroids essentially is all we really have of that. Whereas like these great, and we didn't watch the colorized version of this. We watched the black and white version of this, but still the footage seemed very high quality and very great for capturing footage of the time.
Yeah. It's
great quality.
It's something that I would love to spend a lot of time deep diving just so that my brain can process that these times actually existed and that people like dance and just like what they did in their day-to-day life. Like
everyone danced in the 40s.
That was one of the things I was wondering. Like, does everybody just know how to not necessarily tap dance, but like ballroom dance? Is that just a very common skill that you just go to the club and you don't like bump and grind, but like choreographed dances?
I've always wondered that. I'm like, were there like just 12 dances and everyone just like knew all the moves for those 12 dances or something? Or is this just how movies did like portray things?
Like when Linda and Ted started dancing when he was drunk, I was like, oh, so just like people this is just a type, a specific dance that they just both happen to know. And then it turns out, I guess they just had like dancing chemistry or whatever. And then that spiraled my brain into like, how, like, did everybody just know how to dance this specific kind of dance? And like, what did the club scenes look like in the 40s?
Like, is it equivalent?
Nothing
like if
now.
I walk up and I give you like a fist bump and we both go like with, is that something that people just like,
that's the equivalent.
Right. People just like know, it's like, oh, you see someone dancing and you're like, oh, this is the equivalent like dance move I should do to complement this. And everyone just kind of built off of that. Is that like, was that just taught in school? Was it just innate? Is it like a gene that we've lost due to evolution? Like, how did people know how to do this?
Yeah,
or
now
was it just movies?
Now the only dancing that we know is just to like sway side to side. Like there is no choreographed dancing.
I mean, I dance more like a wacky, wavy, inflatable arm flailing tube man, but
experiencing him dance is a true gift to anybody that gets to witness it. It is.
I dance full body.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I've always wondered how people like knew how to dance with a partner so well, and whether or not that was just movies. Next would be, this felt too much like White Christmas in a lot of ways, that like the inn itself and the concept of like going to stay in an inn, moving from show business to
I said lots of White Christmas vibes because like I honestly felt like part of the set was just reused for actual White Christmas. Like
I wouldn't be surprised if some of the set like literally was just kind of brought back out.
Like it felt like some things where I would be like, oh, this is definitely the same set. And then they would keep panning and it was like, okay, maybe it's not the same set. But there was a lot of things that were super similar. Just like the inn in upstate or in New England area and the snow. And I mean, there was a lot of weird
more snow than the actual White Christmas movie. Like,
yes, it was 70 degrees or whatever in White Christmas. But there was weird crossover, but except I felt like Bing Crosby's character was so different for me. Obviously he had, entertainment roots. That was the one thing that kept bringing me back to like, okay, this is a different movie, because so much of the setting and even parts of the story kind of like, we're going to bring people to Connecticut for the holidays. Was like, oh my God, are we watching the same movie? Did we just get lazy when it came around to White Christmas? I mean, White Christmas is far superior.
It almost feels like someone watched this holiday in movie and was like, hang on, we're like 80% there. We can make it better. And they brought in Danny fucking Kaye, and then they just, added some more tap dancing. And
do you think Irving Berlin had like a better idea?
Right.
like he had an idea and then he had a better idea, and
he had his slept on it segment, and it actually brought out the
100%.
Because it felt very, very much like uncanny valley, like deja vu, but not quite deja vu.
It was unsettling to watch. Mm-hmm. I felt like I couldn't relax and watch the movie because my brain was just like pivoting back and forth between the two movies, with the exception that this was in black and white, and we watched White Christmas in color.
I couldn't remember. I was like, did we watch it in color or not?
We watched it in color.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, my next thought being, I would actually much rather stay at this Holiday Inn than any other Holiday Inn I've ever stayed at.
100%.
No offense to Holiday Inn, but
Holiday Inn is a lovely hotel chain. We have had plenty of lovely stays at Holiday Inns.
But if I could stay in this nice cozy cabin with like a fireplace and some like snow going on in the background,
1,000 feet of snow outside, and a taxi that is an actual like sleigh pulled by horses.
I don't even want the musical numbers, all that sort of stuff. I just want to like stay in this nice little inn.
It felt so cozy. Like I feel like I could be truly relaxed and cozy with like a nice mug of hot chocolate or cider or
wine,
hot wine or room temperature wine, you know, whatever. I won't be picky.
Glühwein.
Yeah. Glühwein.
Glühwein, that's what it is.
Yeah, I agree. I would choose this Holiday Inn over.
My next note being that there were actual candles on the Christmas trees in there. And I get that was a thing.
Stress.
But the stress of having to like not burn your house down with those trees, like better make sure you like don't forget to water them, but also be so annoying to have to light and unlight.
Yes.
It's like 50 candles.
I mean, I get stressed in 2023 with like the, you know, is something going to blow in the electrical situation we have going on with all the lights? Like that stresses me out. That imagine having actual fire on your tree. I would be unwell. But then this, to your other point, like watching it and being like, oh my God, there's actual candles. Oh my God, they had to light every single candle. Do you do that every night? Is that like
I get annoyed when like I'm lighting a candle, there's 3 wicks in it, and I'm like, oh my God, is it worth it? That'd be like, oh yeah, I'm lighting this tree. Still lighting this tree. Hang on, I'll be there in 40 minutes, gotta light all the other candles. How many matches do you go through? Or do you like light one candle and you just drip wax everywhere trying to light the rest?
You're telling me they don't have USB charging lighters?
Yeah, those little like taser ones. I don't think they had those quite yet.
They didn't have those in the 40s. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess you would match.
Or
do they use their cigarettes?
You know, they probably use their pipes. I think that's probably much more likely then. My next note was that Bing Crosby was playing the piano for White Christmas, but there's no piano notes in the song.
I noticed that as well. I was all of a sudden I was like, this music is not piano.
And it's just so weird because they could have like just had him do the like sang it there like next to her and then still use the pipe to do the bells in there. There's no reason to have the piano there.
Yeah. Like he could have just sat there and sang an a cappella. He's Bing Crosby.
Right. It's very odd. Next note being the casual blackface that we've kind of discussed already, that they just casually threw it in there. And
well, it's introduced very casually. Like he obviously doesn't want her to be discovered by his friend or whatever. And it's like, well, how about you do blackface? Oh, because that's something you just throw out as an option.
But then like, that's just everyone in the entire like band and everything is suddenly in blackface. Cut
to the actual number and the whole, like you said, the whole band, like everybody. And I mean, I think I kind of watched it through my fingers because it was very uncomfortable. Didn't like it. Didn't care for it. No, thank you.
Like we kind of already covered, just very unnecessary in that aspect.
Anything you could have done, unnecessary.
Just have them all dressed up like Abraham Lincoln. Put them all in beards.
Yeah,
you're fine.
Yeah, it would have hidden her face.
Different times, I guess. Next note being that there were so many February holidays.
Right.
In my mind, it's like February. Oh, there's just like Valentine's Day. And then they had... I mean,
there was one point where I had to clarify and I was like, wait, they mean Valentine's Day as in 2 days? And you're like, yeah, they said the day after tomorrow.
2 days.
Like they truly mean they're going to be open again in 2 days.
Kind of understand why they kind of consolidated holidays a bit with President's Day and all that, because there's a lot to take in.
And just like the fact that like they were like Washington's birthday and they literally had like a full size portrait of George Washington for their number about George Washington.
People were getting amped up for that and for Abraham Lincoln's birthday.
And like even the song like mentions the actual date of his birthday. And I was like, I could have told you that him and Lincoln's birthdays were in February because I know like President's Day is based on that. I would have never been able to tell you the day of their birthdays. But apparently it used to be a thing that people celebrated.
They mentioned the actual like day number in the songs too. Somehow rhymed those in. My next note was that Fred Astaire seemed like a creep at least in this, but I also imagine it's very accurate for like show business, especially at the time, for someone to be like, oh, I'm this like big actor or an agent, and I'm going to go ahead and just like, I don't care this person is engaged or married to someone. I'm going to go ahead and try to seduce them or try to get them to like come join me and take advantage of that situation. And I think that I don't know how much of it was acting like that much of a creep, or if that was just kind of like the sentiment at the time. Mm-hmm. But it seemed like it was probably very accurate for a manager relationship with someone to say, oh, you're talented, I'm going to completely ignore and railroad your life. And
yeah, well, it was kind of hard to follow at first because, like, what was her name? The Lila.
I was gonna say Lila.
Lila. She was dating Bing at the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, we're like, well, I'm with you, Fred Astaire." Mm-hmm. And then she goes off and like, "Oh, millionaire." And then like, I mean, just like the amount of turnover of relationships was hard for me to follow. And I mean, like, we have Bravo TV and all the housewives, and like, I mean, not that I follow any of that stuff, but like the drama that we deal with as far as gossip and tabloids and stuff is hard to follow. But like this movie, I was like, I can't follow this. Like, this is really confusing.
It's like watching a soap opera on like 10x speed, just being like, oh, she's with him now and with him. And then,
yeah. That was super hard to follow. But I also thought the same thing of like, I felt like, the 40s, like they're so wholesome, like divorce, you can't do it. Ugh. But I mean, this is like, you were kind of about to be married to this guy, but then just kidding, you're engaged to me, but like, just kidding, you're dating him now. And like, just kidding.
Business
like,
calls, so.
And it doesn't fit with what my brain thinks of as like the stereotype of that time.
I think people have lately have rewritten history of what the 40s, 50s were like. And they've kind of chosen to be like, oh, everyone was like, super pure and lived this
pure was the word that came to mind too.
Super wholesome life. And like, no, I think there's still scandal and there's still a lot of like fluidity to relationships and things back then.
I mean,
as well.
especially in Hollywood. I feel like Hollywood is a lot harder. I mean, those poor Hollywood people, you're under so much scrutiny. God bless you. But this movie was hard to follow just with all the relationships.
For sure. And my last note was that this seemed like a whole lot of effort for Fred Astaire's character to track down or win over this one woman to be his dance partner. Like, I feel like at the time he could have picked any female dancer out of a crowd and been like, you're my new dance partner for this.
Apparently everybody can dance.
But instead he's going to spend several months trying to trick this one woman into coming and joining him and leaving the Holiday Inn and being part of his
that he doesn't even really remember dancing with. The first time they danced together,
so
he was
blackout
drunk.
Yeah. His manager somehow remembered the back of her head, which was probably the same hairstyle of like literally every person in the entire building.
100%.
That was kind of hard to believe there.
I agree. Yeah. I thought the same thing. I was like, he like really wants this person as a dance partner. But he also like kind of had a thing for her. But then back to your last point of like, but she also was like, oh, Bing Crosby, you're proposing to me? Like, I just didn't understand. I don't know. It just doesn't fit with like how we work now.
And then later he was like, I guess I proposed. But yeah, the whole love triangle square situation was kind of confusing.
Love triangle +1, love rectangle +1, whatever it is. Like that. It was something. Does that do it for your notes?
Yep, that's all I had.
All right. So my first note was Fred Astaire. I saw his name in the credits and I was like, oh, Fred Astaire's in this. Like, I've never seen anything with him in it. And then I finally saw him on screen and I had to look up his Wikipedia page because I was like, is that really what Fred Astaire looks like? Because he is not this like devilishly handsome man that I thought he was.
He said he was like the best like dancer performer of all time.
And it was like known for being like a fashion icon. And I don't know, his face is very like pointy for me. I mean,
hairline quite receding.
Yeah, he was not at all what I was expecting him to look like. And I think maybe there was like one scene where he was kind of like in the background when they were first like introducing everybody. And I was like, oh, this must be like some like dweeby side character, like assistant or something. Nope, Fred Astaire. My bad, sorry. I don't know.
Women were just really taken with his dance moves at the time.
Yeah.
They ignored everything else about him.
I mean, I was going to say I get it because like I love Zac Efron's dance moves, but he's also very dreamy. So like, I don't know. So Fred Astaire, not at all what I expected. And then I also forgot that Irving Berlin is, has to do with White Christmas and all of that kind of stuff that just didn't think about that,
a lot of things.
Like I said, I loved the animation with all the credits. I mean, just all of them. They like, at first I thought it would just be like a novelty in the opening credits because, we've been following opening credits so much that then like every holiday it was, it would kind of like zoom in on something, or they'd have, the like weird New Year's baby doing something, or like the Easter bunny. Or,
it kind of reminded me of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, where they used the calendar, like whatever, to show the different
I appreciated it for the passing of time, for sure, especially because I almost feel like this was over 2 years, because there's like the first, like Bing Crosby's leaving show business, and then he works through all the holidays, and it's so hard because he's on this farm, and then he decides just to be open on the holidays, and then they go through it all again. That it was a little hard to tell whether it was like 2 years or 3 years, or like how much time passed, but
definitely more than a year.
But I did appreciate, and I think I also appreciated just like how much effort did that take to do, because I feel like some of it wasn't all like hand-drawn animation. There was a little bit of like live action stuff that
they probably like contracted it out to another studio. They would have nowadays. In the time, they probably had.
The technological aspect of that was very interesting to me for being in the 40s. Bing Crosby is old in White Christmas. He is like 50 something, I think, in White Christmas. And because he was 39 in this movie, because I was expecting him to look like drastically younger here, because I know this is shot so much before White Christmas. And then he came on screen and I was like, he still looks kind of old. And I had to look at him. He's 39 in this movie.
Right. I was going to say, I thought Bing Crosby was like in his 50s in White Christmas, and Rosemary Clooney was like 25 or 27 or something.
I didn't actually look up. I didn't look up Rosemary Clooney or Vera Ellen's age for White Christmas, but I did look up his age, and I knew he was older, but I don't think I realized he was in his 50s.
Yeah, it was quite the age gap.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like an older man for sure, but it was alarming to actually compute that. It's been a while since I've looked that up. I already talked about lots of White Christmas vibes, the end, the story, a lot of crossover. My next note is the camera guy needs a little work, because there were some shots where they would like start to pan over, and then they'd stop, but then they'd keep panning, and then they would like cut, and it just didn't flow very smoothly. And I was like, you can tell this is not a like 2000s
I think it's
cinematic
one of those
thing.
situations where you couldn't really see the like actual playback in real time. You had to film it, go back to the studio, like display it, see what it was like, and then going back and getting everyone like rehearsed for the same musical number, all that sort of stuff set up. It was too late by then. So you probably just filmed it twice and hoped for the best and cut it together as best you could.
Use your best take. Yeah. But it was very, I feel like we've seen a lot of older movies, but this was the first time where I was like, oh, that cut was not very smooth. Or like there was even some of the panning shots. I was like,
especially the panning shots.
You got to slow those down. You're not supposed to do them quickly. Like you have to be really slow with panning, and don't stop and then do it again. Like you have to be really smooth in your movements. That was the first time I feel like I really actually noticed the camera work. Mammy's kids in their New Year's Eve costumes, though, like
with the old man,
and the baby.
I kind of want my kids to go as that for Halloween.
Right?
It was so cute.
So cute and so funny. And it was also just like not at all what I was expecting. I mean, I knew it was like, they're having this holiday, and I didn't realize that like everybody was going to lean into the holiday, and those sweet kids in their costumes were so cute. My next note is WTF, because then things got weird and I was uncomfortable and I didn't like it. So we're leaving it at WTF. We've kind of already talked about this, but Washington and Lincoln's birthday is being celebrated. Just wild to me. And also he said it was working 15 days a year, and I'm still trying to like figure out between like, is it like do Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and New Year's Eve and New Year's Day count? And then like Washington's birthday.
I don't know if like bank holidays have really changed, but like Valentine's Day is not a bank.
Saint Valentine's Day
is not a bank holiday, so I don't really know what he considered a holiday and did not.
Saint Valentine's Day, Washington's birthday, Easter Sunday, Thanksgiving, and Christmas is only 10. So that we're missing a couple in there, but he kept saying it was like 15 days a year. That I was intrigued by his holidays.
Yeah,
it's not the same holidays we celebrate anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if they scrolled through it on any of the calendar transitions, but we definitely saw like a subset of them, but I don't think we saw all of them.
Yeah, I think those were the 10 that we saw multiple times. And my last note is Hallmark movie, and we had already talked about that. That just we're ready for that Zac Efron, Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan Hallmark remake, or Netflix. Or, if it's that cast, just send it right to the big screens. Everybody will pay to go.
I mean, honestly, I'd like to see that trio remake a lot of movies that I have not seen. So
yes, but I particularly would like this one for sure. So, that was Holiday Inn. I think I'll definitely be thinking on this one for a while.
Yeah. Nowadays, with it just being broadcast as is, people will be pretty holiday out on it. But I think that it was
definitely holiday out.
Took you a second. That I don't think we'll be going back to rewatch it anytime soon. I will appreciate the music from it.
Going back to the Do You Feel Cultured? I'm glad I've seen it because I appreciate where a lot of things come from. Mm-hmm. I will not go back and see it again, I don't think. Mm-hmm. And
I've seen multiple Bing Crosby movies. I've seen a Fred Astaire movie, and I understand the origin of the song White Christmas better.
Yep. And now I think I'm ready to go back to watching our traditional Santa Claus, Elf, Christmas Vacation, traditional Christmas movies.
And then I'm also excited to jump into the sci-fi season after these holidays.
Yes. So if you are interested in watching our season 4 of Culture Night Pod and SciFi, we will be back hopefully in January, early January. We don't have a specific date. We got to survive the next couple weeks of holiday chaos, but we will be back. If you would like to stay up to date, then follow us on Instagram at Culture Night Pod, or on YouTube. We post our shorts and reels and YouTube videos. You can follow us at Culture Night Pod. If you have any questions or suggestions, you can email us at culturenightpod@gmail.com. And make sure you like, subscribe, rate, review, all the things. And we'll catch you in 2024.
Yep. See you there. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.